If you've experienced the frustration of sustained caloric restriction that stopped producing weight loss, months of disciplined eating that the scale refuses to acknowledge, the explanation may not be your discipline. It may be a hormonal signaling failure called leptin resistance, and it operates through a mechanism that no amount of caloric restriction can overcome on its own. Leptin is a hormone produced by your fat cells in proportion to how much stored energy you have. Its primary function is to signal the hypothalamus, the brain region regulating energy balance, that stored energy is adequate. When leptin levels are sufficient and the hypothalamus is responding normally, hunger decreases and metabolic rate maintains or increases. This is the negative feedback system that prevents both starvation and excessive fat accumulation in a healthy metabolic state. Leptin resistance breaks this system. In leptin-resistant individuals, the hypothalamus stops responding to leptin signal despite elevated leptin levels. Elevated precisely because fat cells are producing more and more leptin in a futile attempt to be heard. The hypothalamus perceives the equivalent of starvation regardless of how much body fat is actually present. Hunger stays chronically elevated. Metabolic rate stays suppressed. And the body directs energy toward fat storage rather than fat burning regardless of caloric intake. This is why restricting calories makes leptin-resistant individuals feel worse. Their brain is already perceiving starvation. Reducing food intake deepens the perceived starvation signal without addressing the hypothalamic insensitivity that prevents normal metabolic response. Leptozan addresses this mechanism from 3 angles. BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate. Ketone salts are the only nutritional compound currently identified in research as capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier and directly modulating hypothalamic leptin receptor sensitivity. This is the central neural component of leptin resistance, and it requires a compound that actually reaches the brain to address it. BHB crosses the blood-brain barrier through the MCT1 transporter and modulates hypothalamic function through effects on AMPK signaling and inflammatory pathways that drive receptor insensitivity. The Dead Sea mineral complex provides magnesium, calcium, and trace minerals in ratios associated with improved insulin sensitivity and the metabolic conditions that support leptin responsiveness, addressing the peripheral metabolic component alongside the central neural one. Berberine activates AMP-activated protein kinase, the cellular energy sensor that modulates metabolic efficiency, glucose disposal, and the insulin sensitivity on which proper leptin signaling depends. Multiple human clinical trials on berberine show effects on body weight, fasting glucose, and insulin resistance comparable in some studies to metformin. This is not a stimulant-based appetite suppressant. Leptozan doesn't work by artificially reducing hunger through dopamine or norepinephrine manipulation. It works by attempting to restore the hormonal signaling system that should be regulating hunger and metabolism naturally, and doing so through 3 complementary biological pathways addressing the problem from brain, hormone, and metabolic levels simultaneously. According to verified customer feedback, reduced hunger appears within 1 to 2 weeks as BHB and berberine reach therapeutic plasma levels and begin modulating the signaling pathways involved. Meaningful weight changes typically begin at 3 to 6 weeks and continue through months 2 and 3 as the hormonal recalibration deepens. Users commonly report that the first change is psychological. They stop fighting constant hunger, which enables the dietary discipline that had been failing before because the brain was genuinely perceiving starvation despite adequate fat stores. Currently available for purchase in USA, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand only. International availability varies. Important: anyone taking metformin or other diabetes medications should consult their physician before using Leptozan. Berberine's insulin sensitizing effects can interact meaningfully with these medications. Men and women with thyroid conditions should also consult their physician due to potential effects of BHB on thyroid hormone metabolism. This is particularly important if you're already on thyroid medications. Full leptin resistance research citations, BHB blood-brain barrier mechanism explanation, berberine clinical trial data, complaint investigation addressing safety concerns, current pricing, and official website in the description. Like, comment, subscribe.